Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. My name is Queenie. For those who don't know me, reviewing the Traitors US Season 2, Episodes 1 to 3. Before I get into it, please make sure to like this video, subscribe and hit the bell, and leave a comment down below. So, a quick rundown of how the Traitors works. If you've never seen it, it's essentially Mafia. And if you've never played Mafia, there are a group of killers. It could be 2, could be 3, could be 7. You don't know the number. And everybody else is a civilian. The goal of the civilians is to find out who the traitors are and make sure they don't banish each other in the process. If the traitors make it to the end without being suspected, they win the money. If the faithfuls make it to the end without being killed, they... No. If they make it, they have to decide who the traitors are. And then if they find out the traitors, they win the money. So a lot going on in the show. I have a lot of notes, so pardon me having to hold my phone, but I just want to make sure that I don't miss anything here. So I've already done a cast reveal, so I'm not going to go through every single person. You can go watch that right over here. Let's jump straight into the episode. So, because there are previous relationships going into the house, some people who didn't leave things on the best of terms are realizing it might be difficult being in a house with this person.
Sandra and I are meeting again for the first time in a long time. We have a little contention between us over who is the true Queen of Survivor. That was a season where I lost and Sandra won.
I know that I'm biased. I know that I am biased, okay? But if we're gonna say who the Queen of Survivor is, comparing Parvati against Sandra, I'm sorry, Sandra wins all day, every day. All day, every day, the Queen of Survivor, out of the 2 women, is Sandra. Parvati, you were good. But it's friggin' Sandra, let's be for real. So I personally haven't seen everybody's show or whatever genre this person is in. Real Housewives is one of those shows that it's just not for me, right? However, Miss Phaedra, I might have to start watching.
That's the sweetie pie from The Bachelor. That's Kevin. He's from Bling Nation. It's a show about some very wealthy people. So he's a challenge person. Oh, what? That's Michael Jordan's son. Scottie Pippen's ex-wife. Scottie Pippen, basketball.
From the Bulls.
Phaedra is such a good pick for the show. She's well versed in damn near everybody's genre that they're in, besides maybe the politician and whatever. She knows almost everyone in this house. It's such a great advantage to have. Such a good advantage. Also, let me find out you are a TV junkie just like me, girl. Let me go watch The Real Housewives. So when Alan decides who the traitors are, Phaedra is one of them, great choice, and Dan is another one. Doing a little bit of jumping ahead of the story, I definitely thought that Dan would be a great choice just because on Big Brother, he played such a good game. Whenever his back was against the wall, he was able to find himself out of a pickle. He's such a great conversationalist. He's really good at strategy. He's good at playing low-key. However, on the Traitors, he's playing a little bit too low-key. Just a little bit too low-key. We'll get into that in a minute. So immediately, people are going to make their assumptions on who they think has been chosen by Alan. I feel like the better strategy is to go off of people's disposition rather than where you think Alan stopped.
You were having some breathing problems? Were you okay?
I'm slightly asthmatic.
Oh.
You know.
Wait, can I ask you guys a question? I feel like my hearing is really good when he lifted his jacket, and it was to my left.
Don't get me wrong. I do think that John is suspicious with the whole breathing thing, but I'm like, he's an old man. Come on. The other people who are trying to say, oh, I heard Alan's jacket ruffle when he came to touch you. Give us something more than that. I think that demeanor is the best way to judge who you think could be the traitor. Again, John is old. Don't go off of his breathing. Go off of the way that he talks. He's also a politician. If he really leans into doing that politician type speak, I think that's where you should be concerned when it comes to John. So, as far as demeanor goes, Bergie is doing a piss poor job at being innocent.
Yeah, he's speaking very fast.
I am not a traitor.
And you've just spilled your drink. Your cheeks are really red, by the way.
And you're sweating a lot.
As red as a tomato. The guy literally has soiled himself.
Ekin-Su is so funny. I'm so happy to see Ekin-Su on my screen again. She's a big personality. She definitely likes to stoke the fires. But with Bergie, you really have to work on your poker face. And the funniest thing about it is he's not even guilty. He just gets flustered so quick. And so he does come off as suspicious. But sir, like, breathe in, breathe out, inhala, exhala. I don't know what you have to do, but don't come off guilty, especially when you're not. You are faithful. So the challenges are timed. They are for the purpose of adding money into the pot. And also you can get protection by getting a shield during the process. Now, the problem with getting a shield is when it exposes the fact that you feel like you're threatened in the house. And also it could potentially take time away from you solving the challenge with everybody else. Janelle does not give a damn. She's the first to be like, I don't care about none of you people. I'm gonna get safety.
Somebody who's untied has to look for the glue.
I don't care if they're tied up all day. I'm gonna find the shield before I do anything.
Get your ass back down here and untie me. Now there's a big target on your back.
Janelle, you in danger, girl. You're in danger. I understand the rationale. You gotta think of yourself before anybody else. But the least she could have done is help at least one other person get untied. Bergie was there until, you know, everybody was already in the water. Everybody was finding the puzzle pieces and stuff. This man was still trying to untie himself with assistance from other people. I think to save herself, Janelle could have helped just a little bit, but it doesn't blow back on her too much. The blowback from her comes a little bit later. So in the water, you have a lot of the challenge people. Trishelle, was Trishelle in there? I don't remember if Trishelle was in the water, but definitely Parvati was in the water. CT from the challenge was in the water. Bananas from the challenge was in the water. They were very pivotal in solving this puzzle. It was going to be a loss for sure, because I think they had about 1 second until they detonated the whatever it is, the fire, the whatever. It took them way too long to find the solution picture of what the puzzle is supposed to look like. And the funniest thing is CT jumped in the water to go get his shield and still was able to come back in and help them solve the puzzle. If not for the people on the challenge, I don't think they would have made it. So CT was a saving grace for them. Johnny Bananas was a saving grace for them. The third person to get a shield. So first it was Janelle, and then CT, and then Deontay. He also got safety that night. The traitors are tasked with recruiting a third traitor. So far we have Dan and Phaedra. The people who they are considering are Larsa, Parvati, Janelle, and Sandra. They settle on bringing in Parvati. Now, I think this is a really good choice. I don't fully remember Parvati's gameplay on the show, but I know that on Survivor, I know that she's really good at bringing people into the fold. She's very trustworthy, but at the last second, if she needs to cut you, she absolutely will. I think she's good at nurturing relationships, and as a traitor, you're gonna need to have people on your side so that they don't suspect you. So before Parvati joins, they obviously have to make a choice of who they want to kill. The traitors have to make this choice. They choose Johnny Bananas.
Oh, there's no way. Wait, Johnny Bananas got murdered? No.
It stings, and not to toot my own horn, but the house is gonna be a lot less fun now that I'm not around. What you do today is gonna burn your ass tomorrow.
At this point, I'm honestly still trying to figure out what was the point of choosing Johnny, because he's very pivotal in these challenges. You guys need strong people who are able to help you put more money in the pot, because at the end of the game, there won't be much money to split if y'all aren't winning the money. You know what I'm saying? They chose to send Johnny Bananas home. He was kind of salty, but whatever, it is what it is. Personally, at this point of the episode, I would have sent home Bergie. Bergie's obviously the weakest link, weaker than John, the old retired politician. I need strong people. I need people who I feel, when our backs are against the wall in these challenges, they're going to pull it out of the bag and help us secure the win. He does in the future, but they didn't know that right now. I would have eliminated Bergie. I'll just tell you that from now. It's now the next day, and everybody is coming in, discovering who was the one who was killed in the night. The night before that, Trishelle had a conversation with Peppermint where she perceives that Peppermint was offended or looked guilty when she was accused of being a traitor, essentially. So in the morning, this becomes a topic of discussion.
Peppermint, could you clarify the situation with you and Trishelle?
And I was like, well, if I'm murdered, then I know that you're a traitor.
Let me tell you this. If you get murdered, it might be by my look, but it won't be because I'm a traitor.
Obviously, because we know who the traitors are, it's easy to be like, oh, come on, like that face wasn't really a face of guilt. I can imagine being in the dark, seeing that reaction and thinking, maybe you're giving sus. What I would have done if I was Trishelle is kind of shady, I can't even lie to you. What I would have done if I was Trishelle is to just bank that information. Use it as ammo in the future if more things show up regarding Peppermint's demeanor. If you're calling me a traitor in a room of people, I will have a shocked face. I absolutely will. Because how are you going to just come at me like that? And then if I'm playing too stoic, people are saying, was she trying to save face? I totally understand why Peppermint reacted that way. I think that Trishelle is being a little bit OD. So the next challenge that they have is about everyone's personal opinions, which is great for the traitors because they get to see where the house stands regarding the people in the house. So if you answer each question correctly, you get to advance to another question up until you get to this field where you have to rip the scarecrows open to get the money or whatever. So the group would rather listen to Marcus's opinion over Larsa's opinion, which is hilarious because they're together. The group thinks that Deontay is more popular in the house than Peppermint. However, this is bringing up some tension because the winner of that category was actually Peppermint, and Peppermint was vouching for herself, but the people in her group were not listening.
There's a consensus in my group to run back and drop me on the ground.
Throw it down.
Hey, no way. I'm wrong. Apparently it's Peppermint.
No. Let's go. All right, come on.
I knew it.
Out of the two options being Deontay, it's Deontay, right? I've been saying that. Deontay and Peppermint, I would have thought that Deontay would have been the one voted more popular because Peppermint was just accused of being a traitor twice, in the night and now in the morning. And after she was pleading her case to the group over brunch, it seemed like she was being very defensive. So I would have thought that in the opinions that everybody submitted, they would have said Deontay is more popular. But no, they chose Peppermint. They also believe that Dan needs to speak up more. It's making him look very suspicious. And considering the fact that he played Big Brother, he didn't necessarily have a low-key game on Big Brother, but he was a little bit more pivotal. It kind of does look sus. You are a big name when it comes to your franchise, your genre of entertainment. How are you now this low-key character? It does not make sense. So Dan was feeling like his back was against the wall. Even though he's a traitor, he went to go for the shield just to do that whole double bluff thing. They ended up scoring 16K instead of 20K. Yeah. And then after the challenge, people were suspecting that maybe John is a traitor because when the traitors were chosen, John was saying that his breathing was due to the fact that he's asthmatic. However, in the game, he was running with no problem. And someone even asked him, oh, can I have your puffer? He was like, I don't have a puffer. I don't have an inhaler. How are you asthmatic without an inhaler? There was also a situation where Peppermint had misspoke in an attempt to defend herself. It was a Freudian slip. She basically said that she is a traitor instead of saying she's a faithful, something like that.
If Trishelle is really concerned about not banishing a traitor, not banishing a faithful.
Just throw yourself under the bus again.
Oh, girl.
The good thing for her is that there are people who were in the room at the time of that conversation who have her back. Sheree is one of them. And Sheree is like, I didn't see her look guilty. It was just a natural response. Max wasn't in the room, but he also has Peppermint's back. And he's saying, I don't think that she is suspicious in any way. So when they're doing the deliberation, I would have thought that Peppermint is going to chill a little bit. Obviously, her name has been thrown out all day. Maybe it's best to fall back. She does the opposite.
I'd like to speak
and addressed the room. I don't remember having a reaction as dramatic as you're saying. I remember it being like, bitch, what are you talking about?
I did not feel like it was a big thing. I thought it was a joking conversation.
Peppermint's name got thrown out, today out of nowhere.
In my opinion, Peppermint was absolutely getting too defensive. And even though you are trying to plead your case, you're also not trying to look like a liability. If you look like somebody who's cagey, if you look like you are easily paranoid, if you look like you would throw people under the bus, if you were being speculated, they're not going to want to live with you. Yes, it's about finding out who the traitors are, but these people are living together. They are socializing with one another. You want to be with people who make the environment a peaceful environment. If you start to look problematic, they're going to want to get you out. You know what I'm saying? Then John talks about his breathing thing. He basically had said that when he was young, he was asthmatic, but as he got older, the asthma went away. I'm not asthmatic. I don't know if that's a thing. So it was kind of causing some suspicion. But at the end of the day, they decided to vote out Peppermint. When it comes to John, I think that his political cadence of speech is definitely going to find him in hot water in the future. I know that that's naturally his disposition, but people want straight answers. Give them straight answers. But in giving straight answers, similar to Peppermint, you need to find a balance between not being too defensive, but still giving an honest answer. I think that she defended herself a little bit too hard. And so they suspected her and they got her out. Now people are kind of upset with Trishelle because Trishelle is the reason why people were piling on the votes for Peppermint. So they're suspecting, like, okay, is Trishelle a snake in the grass? What are we going to do with her? But in all of that discussion, Dan wasn't talking much. So people are also saying, well, hold on. Who has been a little bit too quiet? Because that is just as big of a liability as being too vocal.
I'm just saying that it was just a little, whatever, strange for me.
Anybody that didn't speak up was very happy with the way that the conversation was going. And I don't want to single you out because you weren't the only person, but they didn't say a word.
It's definitely a tough situation to be in when people call out your behavior in an environment and that is your game plan, because you can't just switch it up to appease people. You're going to look suspicious. I think that Dan maybe needs to just keep playing the low-key thing, but talk to those people who you necessarily wouldn't gravitate to. So talk to what's that lady? I forget her name. Talk to the women more. I feel like outside of the guys, the women he talks to is Phaedra and Parvati, and they are other traitors. Form connections with Sheree. Talk to Larsa. Come on, you don't have to talk to everybody. You don't have to be the biggest voice in the room, but make a few more connections so people can say, yeah, he's quiet, but I speak to him a lot. I feel like he's genuine. I don't know why he's not doing that. It is what it is. So now that Parvati has joined the Traitors, they have to decide the next person they want to kill. And unfortunately for Marcus, because he was one of the ones who were suspecting Dan, he was the next to go.
Marcus?
Yeah, Marcus. Shit.
They got me.
Marcus? Why Marcus?
Damn, I'm so upset. I am so upset, Phaedra.
I was kind of frustrated with the people in the room because I don't think they're playing smart. There were more people in that conversation between Marcus and Dan. If you are paying attention, it seemed like Dan was very quiet. And a lot of people had noticed that. The only one who actually called him out to his face was Marcus. And then the next day he's killed. Nobody's going to make that connection. They're going to suspect Dan, but because he is still quiet, not the fact that somebody called him out on it and they were the next to go. Let's use our thinking caps, guys. Come on. The next challenge they have is a grave digging challenge. It was kind of cool. I'm not going to lie. They were basically playing light tag. They had to go and dig up the graves for money, but avoid the light, because if the light touches you, you're out of the game, and then you're subbed in. Somebody else is subbed in your place, right? At first, People were not noticing that there is a sequence with the lights. Bergie was the first to note it. And then he was trying to tell everybody, hey guys, there's a pattern, but nobody was listening to him until Dan said, hey guys, Bergie has an idea.
Okay, this one's gonna go right and then it's gonna come back left. This one's gonna go all the way down and come back. Got $5 grand.
Bergie is pulling off the most professional graveyard heist.
Bergie, getting a hero's reception. It's a beautiful moment.
I have to give him his props. Obviously, it's an edited show, so we can't really see the sequence, but as he was saying it, I was kind of seeing it, so I was like, oh, okay, Bergie, you got something going on. He wasn't my favorite on Love Island, but that's because Love Island is Love Island. On The Traitors, he's doing pretty good now. He's collected himself, he's not as flustered anymore, and he's speaking up and advocating for the team, and it benefited them. They ended up winning 19.5K. They weren't going to win if not for Bergie. Simple as that. They were not going to win if not for Bergie. There's some controversy regarding the shields. Tamra got a shield along with Peter and Janelle. But with Janelle, it seemed like she snatched it out of Ekin-Su's hands. I'm still not sure. Even though I watched it back a few times, I'm still not sure how it happened. But definitely it looked like Ekin-Su was going for it. And then Janelle just swooped in the last minute. So that's going to be a thing in the future. Before they have the deliberation about who they want to banish, Peter is talking to Kevin. And he is creating this ploy to throw off the traitors and maybe keep them in longer.
In order to kind of level the playing field, personally, I think you got to get creative.
You and I need to vote for each other tonight at banishment.
Okay. If the traitors see us going after each other,
that's good.
They're going to keep us around.
Yes.
So I understand the rationale. If it looks like two people are very strongly against each other, you would want to keep them in to keep the heat off of you as a traitor. But that doesn't nullify you from being banished. Because if you look like a liability, if you look like you're problematic, you're constantly antagonizing, you're throwing blame at people who other people were not thinking of, they might want to get you out. So sure, the traitors might keep you in, but you're going to be banished. That's what I think, personally. So now at the Roundtable, Bergie is actually the first to speak up. You know, he's feeling very, very proud of himself today. He did a great job. And he tells Dan, hey, Dan, your name's been thrown around. I think it's best that you plead your case.
I've heard a lot of Dan's name today, so if you want to speak up, I would probably speak up right now.
I know I'm quiet, but if that's a crime, then so be it. When I say a name, I want people to say, this is Dan taking his shot.
If we all played this game the way that you did, there wouldn't be any conversations or any risks or any game.
Dan, as we know, is a very calculated player. Everything he says is a strategic move. So on Big Brother, that's great. On the Traitors, not so much. You have to seem genuine, and he just seems very sketchy right now. He still has to keep his demeanor. He does, because Max is one person who was perceived as being calm. However, after, who's the guy who got killed? After Marcus died, it seemed like his behavior has changed. And so people have been picking up on that. They decide to call him out, and he's quickly like, oh, no, it's not me. Matter of fact, let's look at those people. They have conflict.
Damn, like, I'm uncomfortable defending myself. The conversation today between Janelle and Ekin-Su was very strange.
I was there, like, literally way before you.
Then. You came up afterwards behind me.
I think it's a smart way to put the attention on something else other than yourself, which has worked.
This was the worst thing Max could have done. The absolute worst thing. You're telling me people are saying, hey, your behavior has changed. And instead of you defending yourself, you're going to deflect and shift blame onto other people who the room wasn't even talking about. You look suspicious. You do. So even Ekin was like, oh, that's very smart of you to want to shift the blame. And the room was like, no, that's true. He did do that. Ultimately, they decided to get rid of him. We know he's not a traitor, but people should learn, if you are called to the stand to plead your case, saying that you are a faithful, stick to the plan. Do not deflect. It's only going to incriminate you more. At the end of the night, the traitors are told that they don't they're not going to meet in secret anymore. They're going to kill somebody in plain sight using a chalice of death or something like that. We don't get to see who they pick, but we can assume it's going to be people in the second room that Parvati went to because she struggled to give the cup to Sheree. Now, Phaedra had given the responsibility of killing somebody to Dan and Parvati, but she wasn't with them picking Sheree. So she chose to sit beside Sheree deliberately to make sure that didn't happen. I don't know if that's going to bite Phaedra in the ass later on because like, why are you obstructing the plan of the traitors? Interesting. The second option is one that Dan said, hey, maybe you shouldn't vote for them either because she's the one, I forget her name, I'm so sorry, but she's the one who in the deliberation was very vocal about Dan potentially being a traitor. So he didn't want to kill yet another person who accused him of being a traitor. I think it definitely would incriminate him a lot, but it seems like that's where Parvati is going to go. We'll have to see next week. I don't really like that they're dropping him at a weird time too. Peacock is so... Peacock really irks me with these shows, but whatever. It is what it is. We won't have the result of the vote until the end of this week. As always, like, comment, share, and subscribe. I will try to get, I'll try to get the reviews out Saturday. Can I do that? I'm only doing it today because I've been running behind, but I'm going to try to get them out on Saturday. So please stay tuned for that, and I'll see you in the next one.